Dragons. Everybody knows and loves these flying reptiles. They can be found in every entertainment medium from books to movies. People have been obsessed with them for thousands of years, and we have mountains of archives detailing draconic encounters from around the world. But where are they now? In this age of satellites and widespread camera phones, why is there no footage or recent documentation of dragons? If they went extinct, where are the bones and markings of their existence in recent times, other than human documents and artwork? After years of research, I think I've found the answer to this mystery. But be warned, it is a strange tale of human history and avian oppression. To start with, I'm going to talk about what dragons definitely did not exist. That being the hexapod dragon, with arms, legs, and a pair of wings. This type of body plan is impossible given the evolutionary history of animals on Earth. The closest animal we have that exhibits this body plan in modern vertebrates is the Draco lizard. It glides using modified ribs and cartilage, but these are not another pair of jointed limbs like those depicted in many dragons in modern media. Any dragon that has more than 2 sets of limbs is purely fantasy, I'm afraid. Now, on to the real dragons and their taxonomy and cladistics. Fun! The dragons that are most likely to exist are the tetrapod ones, sharing similar limb structure to bats or birds, snakes or lizards. These 3 groups of dragons can be dubbed wyverns, worms and drakes respectively. This gives us at least 3 families in the dragon order. Dragons are most likely archosaurs given their anatomy and traits, putting them in the same clade as birds and crocodiles. This is all very possible so far. So possible, in fact, that we actually have fossil evidence of a wyvern-like dinosaur genus from the late Jurassic, around 159 million years ago, in China. This genus of dinosaurs is known as Yi, and there are several known species of dinosaurs within it. These dinosaurs would be direct ancestors or at least close relatives of all modern wyvern dragons. This genus is not thought to be capable of powered flight, but they were very effective gliders at least. Like most theropod dinosaurs of this size, Yi had well-developed feathers as well as scales. We don't think they could breathe fire, but that is still up for debate. This theropod ancestry puts dragons much closer to birds than crocodiles in the archosaur family tree. Unfortunately, there is no known fossil evidence for worms or drakes in the same lineage, so they are still purely speculative despite being possible body plans for a theropod, or archosaur. Sticking to wyverns, their ecology and lifestyle can be guessed with a fair amount of accuracy given their close relationship with birds. After developing powered flight, the niche of aerial predator seems to be the most likely role dragons played in ecosystems. This hypothesis is backed up from historical records of dragon-snatching princesses on the wing or snagging livestock from unwary farmers. Unlike birds, dragons are not reliant on feathers for flight. The smaller dragons most likely retain feathering for thermoregulation, like pterosaurs with their pycnofibers, but larger dragons may have lost their feather covering altogether given the right conditions. The larger you are, the easier it is to thermoregulate and the less you need an insulating layer to retain heat. This can be seen with large mammals like rhinos and elephants who have lost most of their fur covering. Large dragons in history are usually depicted as completely scaled with little to no fluff, so this checks out. Like all theropods, dragons lay eggs. Parental care is usually difficult to determine by guessing, but given that birds and crocodiles nurture their young in at least some capacity, dragons most likely showed parental care. Their reproductive strategy was probably similar to that of raptorial birds, with relatively small clutches of eggs every couple of years and attentive parental care, possibly in mated pairs to maximise survival of their clutch. This is supported by historical records of den or nest building and their supposed long lifespan. So, we have a good idea of their evolutionary past and ecology. But where are they? Well, after decades of searching for them, I have discovered the uncomfortable truth that there are no dragons. Well, not physically anyway. They do technically exist, but I'll get to that in a bit. First, I'll explain why we don't have them terrorising villages or making unbreakable bonds with human friends today. Put simply, birds got there first. By the time Yi appears in the fossil record, the ancestors of modern birds were much more abundant and diverse from what we can tell. Pterosaurs dominated the large flying reptile niche up until the late Cretaceous extinction, and ancient birds seemingly dominated the niches of smaller flying reptiles up to and after that. Birds, pardon the pun, ruled the roost. There is a reason why bats are usually restricted to nocturnal niches. Birds dominate every other flying vertebrate niche there is today. Wyvern theropods were successful as gliders and arboreal predators, but seemingly did not thrive like their feathery winged cousins. Birds barely survived the late Cretaceous extinction event, and they were numerous and diverse. So the more niche Yi dinosaurs, if they made it that far, didn't appear to stand a chance. This is truly tragic. But, like I said earlier, dragons do technically exist. And how they exist might surprise you. Almost every human culture has dragons of some sort, from the magic wingless dragons in Asia to the wyverns and hexapod dragons of Europe. People have written about and drawn dragons since they could. Depictions and records of dragons have been found in Mesopotamia and even older civilizations. But why? It's time for some genetics and human psychology. Hell yes. Humans are primates. We have a long primate ancestry and the DNA to prove it. It has been shown that we still carry pre-programmed fears from our small tree-dwelling ancestors, mainly related to what our main predators were. The most primal animal fears we carry with us are that of birds of prey, big cats, and snakes. We even have a more recently programmed predator fear of crocodilians from when we started living and settling near rivers. Quick side note, calling these animals innate fears we all have is a bit misleading in reality. We aren't all terrified of these animals at all times. I personally love snakes. I even own one. Many people say big cats are their favourite animals. These genetics are more for recognition of patterns associated with these animals and being able to predict areas they might inhabit. This was so our ancestors could better avoid them. So it's less like a pre-programmed fear, more like a pre-programmed obsession. These genes that pre-program these obsessions or fears tie in closely with human psychology, as the human imagination will run wild with them. And what do you get when you mishmash all the animals we are innately aware of? Yep, dragon-looking critters. Over time, these imagined dragons evolved alongside their respective human cultures. In Asia, dragons lost their wings but still flew, had either feathers, fur, or scaly coverings, mammalian traits like ears and whiskers, and were usually peaceful and colourful. A theory as to why Asia had wingless flying dragons is because of the presence of gliding tree snakes in Asian forests. If a snake can glide on air currents, why not a magic dragon? This could also be the inspiration behind the snake-like body many Asian dragons had. In Europe, dragons lost their fluff in favour of tough, leathery wings and crocodilian hides the more Christian the continent became. Dragons became more demonic as the Bible/church deemed them evil beings. Fire came with this demonic transformation as they became closely connected with depictions of hell. Dragons have remained culturally relevant around the world. Today, many different types of dragons exist in fiction. Dragons are extremely popular and beloved by all. Funny that a mishmash of a monkey's greatest fears became a modern cultural icon. All this means that dragons do technically exist in human DNA and imagination. So, there you have it. We are all part dragon. I found them, everybody. Where is my Nobel Prize? I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll catch you in the next one.